Welcome back to Super Bowl 58 Radio Row in Las Vegas. The man sitting across from me needs no introduction to Denver Broncos fans and now needs fewer introductions to anyone across the country. Randy Gradishar, congratulations on your induction into the Hall of Fame. It's obviously a monumental day and an important one for you for the first time ever today. You woke up as a Pro Football Hall of Famer. How did that feel?
Well, it's just a great honor to be now knowing that I'm going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And of course, I'm from Northeast Ohio. I'm about 40 miles away from Canton, so I knew the Hall of Fame stuff was back there. I'm an original Buckeye, and I went to Ohio State and all that Ohio stuff. And now I'm going back to actually Canton, Ohio, and through the NFL, Denver Broncos. I never dreamed about high school football. I never dreamed about going to college. I never dreamed about going to Denver Broncos or NFL. And so this has really always just been it's still a real blessing for me to be able to be sitting here and talking to you.
I had a chance to talk to you briefly out of Dove Valley on the day that the seniors committee elevated you to the status for the final ballot. The process between then and now, has it been nerve wracking, or was there a bit of a weight lifted off because you knew that it was basically done?
Well, I didn't know until the Bronco media called and said, Greg and Carrie Penner want to talk to you about the Orange Crush. Because I said, well, okay, that's okay. Because and then a guy named Steve Atwater was going to be there, and they wanted this information about the Orange Crush because they didn't know what made you guys so good. I said, well, can your wife, my name's Beth, came along, and we went over the next day and sat with Greg and Carrie Penner, the owners, and I explained to him why the Orange Crush defense was pretty good and it's so good, and then all of a sudden he stood up and he said, "We're going to go to this other room." I said, "Well, okay." And so my wife and I, Beth, followed him and Carrie. And then all of a sudden we walk into this room and there's about 30 or 25, 30 people, media people, standing there, filming, cameras, microphones. And I hugged my wife and said, "Bevy, we're finally in." So it was a real exciting time, that experience. And then also I looked to my right and I saw this guy named Tom Jackson and Billy Thompson, who were part of the Orange Crush, and the Broncos scheduled him, those two guys, to come in and help celebrate this. And so that experience, and then finally, after just a couple years, knowing that I'm going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Canton, Ohio, has just been a real blessing. I still haven't digested all that, it's actually going to really happen, but this is helping being out at the Super Bowl and being recognized.
Randy Gradishar sitting with me, Sean Drotar from Mile High Sports, and obviously none of us ever get to wherever we are alone. And there are people that you want to thank. There are partners that you want to thank. What have you been thankful for along this process?
Well, to getting to this point, I always knew that that would possibly happen through the Lord and the Lord's timing, but also knowing that the credit goes to the John Ralston who drafted me and drafted that whole Orange Crush defense. And then my defensive coordinator, Joe Collier, created at that time the 34 defense. Everybody else was playing 43. I never played 43 at Ohio State. I also played two inside linebackers. So we didn't call it the 34 defense, but Joe created that. And I was very familiar with it. I learned it quick. And all of our defensive guys, that Orange Crush defense, and it's all about a team. It's not about Randy. It's, I'm one of 11 guys. And, and then, so that's where the credit goes for, having the opportunity to work through the 34 defense. And then all of a sudden, and during that time for the probably first 4 or 5, 6 years, offenses didn't know how to react to us. And because we were coming from here, inside, outside, different stunts that we were doing. And then and I don't know if they ever figured that out either. But and somebody told me while I was here, that Harry Carson and that Lawrence Taylor, they played that 34 defense. Well, I want to tell everybody that I take credit for that.
Yes,
And the Denver Broncos do, because we created it, and they just happen to be on the East Coast, giant guys and all that stuff. Yeah. So it's been a real blessing to be here, and knowing that I'm going in and having the experience, and now really looking forward to going to the Super Bowl for sure.
And of course, the whole point that you brought up with the folks on the East Coast, that's part of the reason for the delay of all this, that the Broncos recognition, especially with the 34 defense, the Orange Crush, there are seeds of that in the Super Bowl. We look at the way Steve Spagnuolo calls his defense, a base 3-4, as much as anybody does, bringing not necessarily extra blitzers, but bringing guys from different angles, different stunts, different timing, dropping guys back at different times. This is still part of the DNA of the defense that you spearheaded.
Right. And, I'm trying to understand a little bit, watching their defenses today at Denver Broncos and other teams when I watch on TV. And it's a little bit different, but it's still similar. Guys coming from different angles, our defensive line guys doing different things, the linebackers. And so, and now they're even blitzing safeties more often and cornerbacks once in a while. And so, as we know, generally, our world keeps changing in lots of different ways. And certainly, pro football has changed also.
Yeah, but football still remains football, and greatness remains greatness. Randy Gradishar, Hall of Famer in the upcoming 2024 class. Obviously, you've had partners that have gotten you there too. I recognize Phil Long on your shirt. I know they've been a big part of this journey for you.
Well, yeah, I've been with the Phil Long dealership group last 26 years, and the owner, Jay Cimino, hired me. And then all of a sudden he had an idea. Said, Randy, when are you going to get in the Hall of Fame? I said, I don't know. So 25 years later, I'm here, and it's because of Jay Cimino, and he brought along a few committee guys for 20 some years trying to get me into the Hall of Fame, because I never thought about it. I never wanted it. I didn't hire an agent to help me get in. And so Jay Cimino through the Phil Long dealerships has just been great. And now finally, and he's been doing that for 26 years. And I'm just very appreciative of that. And now realizing physically being here at the Super Bowl and being recognized that it finally happened. So my credit goes to Jay Cimino.
It's long overdue. It's funny, on a personal note, I was born and raised in Denver and grew up watching the Denver Broncos. One of my earliest sports memories is watching some of that Orange Crush defense.
You're not old. You're too young to remember.
With too much detail, but I do remember literally being bounced on my father's knee, pointing at players and pointing out a 53 and saying, that's what you're supposed to do on a football field. So it really is a treat to talk to you. And as you pointed out, with being a team, obviously it's been a wait. That's been frustrating. And the defense itself, maybe not recognized as much. You brought up Tom Jackson. We know about Louis Wright. We know about so many of the great players that also played alongside you on that defense. This feels like maybe this is a little bit for them as well, that you're bringing not only yourself, but you're bringing that team with you.
Well, I'm looking and praying that this is an opportunity now. I'm one of 10 guys of that whole defense, and all of a sudden I'm going in for the first time. And I hope this brings more recognition to some of the other guys on the team, that they'll even be considered for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So, it's an honor for me to be this first guy here. And I hope that it helps expand the Orange Crush defense. And we got named. I got to ask you a personal question. Did you ever get an Orange Crush can with Randy Gradishar's picture?
I did. And I believe Bob Swenson.
Oh,
if I'm not mistaken.
Well, he was outside. Him and Tom Jackson were outside, guys. I kept telling Tom Jackson, I said, you can never play inside because you got to be smart. I mean, all the stuff that we got to learn inside, and you guys on the outside just rush every once in a while or find one receiver and try to cover them. So they don't like to hear that, but that's the way it was.
Yeah, and you know what? And you get the victory lap today. So I know you have a really busy day. Thanks for making time for folks in Broncos country to talk about this. My co-host back in Denver is Sandy Clough. He wants to pass along his sincere congratulations, of
Thank you.
course, after all the years as
Yeah.
well. We know you have a very busy day. Enjoy your victory lap. It is well deserved, and enjoy your Super Bowl weekend. Hall of Famer Randy Gradishar. Been a long time overdue, but very nice to be able to say that.
Thanks for having
joining
me
us.
on.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.